What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and to week 3 here in the NFL. I found 4 plays off of this week 3 slate that I want to dive into with you guys today here in this video. So we'll break down and analyze each of those plays. Before we get into those, I do want to jump over there to the Guy Boston Sports website. Now, week in and week out, you'll find a link down there in the pinned comment that'll direct you over to the Guy Boston Sports website. And that's where all of my final plays for these videos will live, along with any plays that I add in that we did not discuss in the video. So let's go ahead and jump over there. That way we can recap our plays from week number 2, see what we put in then and how that ended up going down. We ended up putting 6 plays in. We go 4-2 overall on the day. We took the Cowboys laying 4.5. They don't come through for us. Neither did Joe Burrow, over 5.5 rushing yards. He doesn't make it out of the second quarter, so that really sucked. And we took Cam Ward under 205.5 passing yards, and he does cash for us, as did the Chargers, laying 3.5 points at plus money. That was a cash. And we took the Bengals on the money line, got that at minus 122 with a profit boost from FanDuel. That cashed as well. And we also took the Rams laying 5.5. They won by 14, so we hit there also. 4-2 overall on the day. And we'll look to roll that positive energy here into week 3 and start stacking up on some units. Smash that like button for me down there if you can. Hit subscribe if you have not already. Let's jump into the action, man. Let's look at this first play on the day. We'll be looking at that Tennessee Titans and Indianapolis Colts game. Titans are home here. Colts are 5.5 point favorites. Total sitting at 43.5. This one's kicking off at 1 p.m. Now, look, for me, I'm not sold on Daniel Jones just yet, right? I hear everybody calling him Indiana Jones. This offense has been humming for sure. You know, they've scored on 82% of their offensive drives. They haven't had to punt the ball yet through 2 weeks. They've done all this from the comfort of their dome playing at home, right? They're going to be out on the road here in Tennessee, in that Tennessee heat. And Daniel Jones, he does struggle too against the zone. The Titans run a lot of zone defense. Full transparency, though, as always, Tennessee is just 26th in terms of pressure frequency. They're only 17th for QB hits, third from last in terms of sacks. And the Colts offensive line has had the 4th lowest sack rate to open up the year. But the Titans are 6th for hurries. The Colts are just 22nd in that regard. But looking at Tennessee, man, they have been dreadful against the run so far this season, giving up 300 rushing yards through 2 games. Now they face Jonathan Taylor in this Colts third-ranked rushing attack. But the Titans do have a solid rushing attack as well, behind Pollard, and Indianapolis is coming into this one at just 25th against the run DVOA. Man, like I said, I'm just not high on Jones, right? I'm not on the Indiana Jones bandwagon, not yet, man. Maybe he can sell me as the season goes on, but I'm just not there. With him, this offense, this team in general. If Tennessee can get some pressure on Jones and exploit some of those weaknesses of his, especially against the zone defense in the process, right? I like the Titans to keep things close here, especially as that spread just keeps moving more in the Colts' favor. And then if Pollard in turn can get things rolling on the offensive end for Tennessee, man, and help them control the time of possession, like I said, man, I like them to keep it within this number. I don't think Tennessee has looked horrible this year, and honestly, they've played better than their 0-2 record would indicate, in my opinion. Opening up the year in Denver against that defense, and then against a Rams team that looks to be a true contender again this year. So, like I said, man, this Colts team, it feels a little overhyped to me right now. You always have your teams at the beginning of the year that start off 2-0, 3-0, and then they just kind of start fading off. So, it's kind of how I feel about the Colts here in this spot. So give me the home dog here in a divisional game at that with the points. And next up, going to be looking at another 1 p.m. game. Going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers, New England Patriots. This one in New England. Total sitting at 44.5 in this one. Steelers opening up as 1.5 point favorites. Now, the status of cornerback Christian Gonzalez for New England, I feel like that's pretty big in this one. He was a top rated cornerback last season, but regardless, I think we see Rodgers struggle against New England's man defense. He has, had issues against man defense in the past and also when under pressure, which I do think New England is going to be able to get to him here, man. Pittsburgh is just 25th for QB hurries allowed, 26th for both hits and sacks given up, while the Patriots, they're coming in at just 22nd for hurries. They make it count when they get there, man. 5th for hits, 1st for sacks. Pittsburgh allowed pressure on 38% of Rodgers' dropbacks in week 2, and New England's coming in with 9 sacks under their belt, their most through 2 weeks since 2015. Steelers, they've also struggled on the ground to open up the year as well, right? So, Rodgers isn't getting any help in that department. 3rd from last for rushing yards per game, and the Patriots come in at 5th against the run from a DVOA perspective, allowing just 58 rushing yards a game so far. Steelers are also coming in for DVOA rankings at 27th defensively, 28th against the rush, 27th against the pass. So I think Drake May could see some success here at home against the struggling Steelers defense that has allowed 30 plus points now in back-to-back games to open up the season. When's the last time we've said that? right? Pittsburgh, they've been playing more zone to open up the year as well. We've seen May with a much higher completion percentage when facing zone over man. We're looking at 75% as compared to 59%. And his DVOA in the positives, right, as opposed to that negative 31 when facing man coverage. So definitely like zone, man. So that's not looking in Pittsburgh's favor as well. I think the Patriots have looked better on both sides of the ball this year, man. So taking the dogs again, man. Dogs are barking in this week, right? Taking the home dogs. I think I would take them on the money line here at plus money. Then we got another 1 p.m. kickoff time. Going to be looking at the Bengals and the Vikings. This one in Minnesota. Vikings are 3-point favorites right now. Total sitting at 42.5. Now, look, man, I'm looking at my Bengals on this one, and I know right off the top, right, it's going to sound like a homer pick, but I swear there's logic behind this, and it's not just me being biased. I swear. Because I think, like I said earlier in the video, I think after this week, it's gonna be a struggle, right? It's really gonna start going downhill for my Bengals. But I think this week they find some success. Now, the offensive line for these Bengals is always a concern, and rightfully so, right? As Joe just got demolished snap after snap in week number 2 before succumbing to what appears to be a third season-ending injury over the course of his first 6 years, man. But end of the day, I think it's a combo of a few things that led to this happening, man. You know, you have an unproven rookie at left guard, and then you got a serviceable vet at right guard, but you signed him at the end of training camp, so your interior line is a little questionable, right? Then the style of offense that they try to run with Joe under center, it's obviously just isn't conducive with the talent that they have on that offensive line. They simply can't keep up, right? You combine that with in my opinion, the one true flaw of Joe's, man, his tendency to hold onto the ball and extend plays. Well, this line is just continually put into bad situations. So with Burrow on the field, they've had a 49.9 pass protect grade this season. And then with Browning, man, we see that number jump up to 73.1. And this isn't isolated to just week number 2, right? In 2023, when Jake stepped in as starter for injured Joe, we saw that pass protect grade jump from 54.6 to 67.2. Browning is more quick with getting the ball out of his hands, and it's simply just less demanding on an offensive line. Burrow is great, right? And if they can ever get an offensive line that ranks outside of the bottom 5, just average even, they could be deadly. There's a reason this team, though, it doesn't just fall off the face of the earth when he's out, and that's the offensive talent that they have overall. With Chase, Higgins, Noah Fant now, Mike Gesicki, Yosavac, there's plenty of hands to target, but the area that they've lacked offensively so far this season has been on the ground. Dead last for rushing yards per game, just 22nd for DVOA in the run game. But the Vikings, they just aren't good defensively against the run, man. 30th DVOA defending the run, giving up 168.5 rushing yards per game to open up the year. That's also third from last. And while the Vikings are great at generating pressure, they're 7th in terms of blitz rate and 13th in pressure frequency. I think since he leans into Chase Brown early, man, and forces Minnesota to stack the box, and then from there, it's just about Browning being as clean with the ball as he can be. Now, if he can limit the turnovers, he's quick in his decision making, then obviously the Bengals have the firepower to counter a defense that's weak against the run, weak in the secondary, and relying heavily on the blitz. And yes, I also know that the Bengals defense isn't tops in the league and a concern for most people as well, right? Looking at this team and trying to back them on the side. But with that said, man, they've been middle of the pack from a DVOA perspective, 15th overall, 17th against the pass, 16th defending the run. Outside of Hendrickson, they have struggled to get pressure on the QB again. He's accounted for 8 of their 15 pressures, but the secondary has been opportunistic to open up the year, man. The Bengals rank 3rd for turnovers. They're 2nd for interceptions. Vikings have a run game that sits at 9th DVOA, but they are just 20th in terms of rushing yards per game. This Bengals run defense is better than what's been advertised, man. They're not great, no, but much better than what we saw in the preseasons, especially, man. They're actually at 10th currently for rushing yards allowed through these first 2 weeks. And then you take into consideration Aaron Jones was just placed on IR for the Vikings, so that run game is going to feel his loss for sure as well. Minnesota, they sit at 3rd from last for passing yards per game, just 31st DVOA for passing. Wentz plays better against the zone. The Bengals are actually playing more man to open up the season. So I like the Bengals with the plus money here, man. I also don't mind looking at an under considering the state of each team, right? Starting back at quarterbacks in week 3. There's going to be adjustments. There's going to be turnovers, right? And there's going to be stretches of sloppy play. So I don't know that we see a ton of fireworks here, but the last time that these two met, we saw them land at 51 points in an overtime thriller in which the Bengals were led to a come from behind win from, you guessed it, no other than Jake Browning. So, yeah, man, give me the Bengals on the side and a lean towards the under here in this one. And the last play I'm looking at here in this video is going to be in that Kansas City Chiefs and New York Giants game. Chiefs are 5.5-point favorites here for Sunday Night Football, man. And as much as people are ready to write off the Chiefs dynasty, I'm just not quite there yet personally, man. Obviously, they weren't looking to start off the season 0-2, but let's keep in mind who they faced, right? They opened the year in Brazil against a Chargers team that has definitely impressed on both sides of the ball. They're excelling offensively, not only on the ground, which was expected, but they're really looking good through the air as well, man, behind some really, really strong play from Justin Herbert. And that game was only a 6-point loss. It's not like they got blown out, right? And then it was a tight 3-point loss to Philadelphia, the defending champs, and that was a team that Kansas City held to just 216 total yards in that one, right there in week 2. So this isn't a bad team. This isn't a team that just fell off. This is a team that has faced a tough schedule to begin the year, and now they get a Giants team, right? That sure has surprised a few people, but they are a significant step down in competition for both the Chargers and the Eagles. So then add in that Mahomes should get Xavier Worthy back here for week number 3, who missed most of the action through the first 2 weeks. Man, I look for the Chiefs to bounce back here, specifically through the air against a shaky secondary. Mahomes and Kelsey have never started the season 0-2. Man, I don't look for them to start off 0-3. I just can't see it happening here, man. Then you look at the Giants side of things, right? I know people are going to be like, well, Wilson, he had a great game last week, and he did. 450 yards through the air. But that was, one of his boom games, and I say that because he's really become quite the boom or bust type of player at this stage in his career, man. And honestly, the booms are feeling more and more spaced out. He struggled against man defense throughout his career, which the Chiefs play a lot of. Kansas City has the weapons of the secondary to match up well with the tools that he has at his disposal. So give me the Chiefs here on the side. That is going to wrap it up here today for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Hope you found the content helpful and useful. And if you did, please don't forget to hit that like button on your way out. Hit subscribe if you have not already. And that is going to wrap us up, man. Hope you all have yourselves a great week 3. Hope you guys all cash out, and I'll see you back for week number 4.